It's every Red Raiders favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi there. How you going? It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Alongside Gus and Clint, I'm Aaron. We're with you today until 6. We'd love to hear what you have to say on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com. Raiders Dad says, dynamite intro, AD. Thank you. Steven says, sure was awesome listening to Hacks call the Tech basketball game. Much better than the Curly Fry Turtle Beach Bowl. That's from Steven. You big Curly Fry guy?
Yeah, we talked about that this summer. We think, well, we're probably not supposed to say, are we? Or the Arby's Curly Fry, I'm a fan.
Uh-oh. Lightning is going to come down from the heavens and strike you dead. Sweet Tarts is an interesting in-studio candy choice. I would not have pegged you for a Sweet Tart.
Yeah, they didn't have sprees, so I went with that kind of thing. You can get, a couple each break. Because it's a candy bar, it just gets inhaled.
Sure. But I feel like Spree are the superior kind of disc-shaped candy.
It's its own little genre, its own little phylum, or what would you call that? Class, phylum, order, all that. Yeah. And I'm mixing
Was
with
that
it.
like if it's in a phylum, like its real name is Spreedicus Phylalium or something like that?
You got it. Something Latin for tangy. And
we will have a bowl game tonight on 100.7 The Score. That coverage will begin at 7:30. It is the New Orleans Bowl, Western Kentucky or against South Alabama. South Alabama is a 4-point favorite. This game is somewhat notable and interesting and worth monitoring if you're a Texas Tech fan, because Rusty Stats, offensive lineman who is in the transfer portal, who has visited Texas Tech, who has not yet at least publicly announced his future plans, he will play in this game. And I think that there is, some conventional wisdom, maybe some informed speculation that he might play this game tonight, and then in the immediate aftermath, whether it's tonight or tomorrow or the next day, announce, okay, hey guys, I'm going to move on and go probably to Texas Tech. We'll see.
Well, I like the sound of that because I think the center, the getting a center like him and moving Wilburn to guard has been a talking point for Coach McGuire throughout the fall.
Somebody says this: Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, species.
Thank you. My wife, the science teacher, would scold me for that, and appreciate the student that remembered that right there. And she's probably got a little acronym for it, like multiplication, division, my dear Aunt Sally, those kind of things. She's probably got a.
So a shout out to the person that comes up with the best. What are those called?
Yeah, I said acronym, but that's not right. Mnemonic.
Yes. No. Mnemonic device.
Yeah.
For Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, species. This is one of those things, Gus, where and I'm having to catch up because I haven't been here since Thanksgiving. It seems like.
Kelly picked chicken over fried Spam.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, but it should. There's a FGS.
Kelly picked chicken over fried Spam.
Wait. I'm sorry. Picked chicken over fried Spam. Yeah, but where's family, genus, species? Fried something Spam.
Oh, we didn't have genus.
Oh, shouldn't it be kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species? Fried glazed Spam. Fried
golden Spam.
Oh, ground Spam.
Yeah. Jellied or
gelatinous.
Gelatinous, gross.
Joyce's ears just perked up when you said gelatinous.
Yeah,
talk.
I am. It's kind of this circle, right, where I'm so irritated by how we're having to wait yet again longer for the Big 12 schedule, and I understand why. I get it. Intellectually, I understand, right? I comprehend the reason. I acknowledge that it is valid, etc.
And you're attaching it to Texas OU.
Yes. And the 12-team
tournament. Yeah, all of that. I'm calling it tournament playoff. Yeah, that one leads to the other, leads to the other.
All that.
Yep.
But at the same time, man,
emotionally,
I'm so omega pissed that we've got to wait again, and then like I'm so mad about it that I get irritated because I'm so mad about it. Like, why are you so mad? Why are you mad? Mm-hmm. But I am. I can't help it. I'm human here.
And, you know, it's the difference, because I was thinking, I think last year's schedule was really announced and pinned down in February. I think January, February, because it's kind of when the ticket renewal stuff will start. And I'm speaking specifically for Tech. But, as you said the other day, you know, going in, well, we got Texas and OU and Lubbock, and you got to go to Manhattan. You know, and so you can sort of play all that out.
The only thing up in the air at that point, before the formal announcement, was like dates.
Yeah, sure.
The order of your conference opponents.
Right. And for us, it was like, oh, Ames in November. It was that kind of stuff. But, you know,
like,
that's...
Donovan Smith is transferring to Houston. That was announced last night, right?
Yesterday, yeah.
You might not play him next year. You might. You might open up with Houston in Big 12 play. You might not see them until 2024, 2025. We have no idea. And not knowing sucks.
It does make you wonder about the you know, like what Duarte leaked about.
I think all that's off the table.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think all that's off the table. And so, because we've been, you know, sort of piecing together little rumors, like, probably going to Houston, and the Oklahoma schools aren't going to. No, that we might not play either Oklahoma school. You just saw those little nuggets that have been floating around out there that have pieced together. Now I'm like, I don't know, maybe all that's off the table.
Well, it's like Avatar, right?
I wouldn't know, but go ahead.
Well, you don't have to know the plot.
Just know that, like, the ponytail thing.
Humans bad, aliens good. That's the gist
that's what
of
you were
it.
talking about.
Yeah, no. But James Cameron shot Avatar 2 and 3 at the same time.
Oh.
Right? And so it was clearly, you know, part of a broader vision. And that's the same thing with what they had for this coming season schedule and the season after that. It was a two-part
linked
picture,
together. Yep.
Right? It was not supposed to be viewed in isolation. It was supposed to be viewed together. And so if you don't play Texas this year, if you're, you know, Iowa State, you get one last crack at them in 2024 or whatever.
Or vice versa. Yeah.
But now, again, you don't have the luxury of working with a 2-year canvas. Your canvas is now 1 year. And so you're really having to, I would assume, whittle down to, okay, what we understand you ranked these preferences this way. What do you really care about? Right? What's your red line here? Like what is your one must have?
It makes me hope for, I mean, because you knew there wasn't going to be 2 years of Texas and OU getting the crappy end of the schedule stick. But now, since it's a 1-year deal that we might be playing with, yeah, go ahead. Yep. Hey, looks like you're going back to Lubbock again. Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, at this point, if they're not in Lubbock in 2023, I will be irritated.
I'll be even more irritated if we go to Austin.
And you know what? I'll probably be irritated anyways.
Yeah.
More Tech Talk next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hello there. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for spending part of your afternoon with us alongside my good friends, Dr. Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today until 6. We would love to hear from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doublet973.com. All guests appear via the Benchmark hotline. We get this in the chat line. Come on, guys. Coaches and ADs know their schedule. I don't think so. I think that was the case.
Oh, sure.
I think that largely was the case for the last month or so. But I think at some point recently, those were taken off the table, right? Because, listen, you had a fairly detailed report from the Houston Chronicle a couple of months ago, citing anonymous sources that Houston would host TCU, Texas, and Texas Tech and play at Baylor, right? So just from that one report alone, Houston knew 4 of its non-conference games and, 3 of its conference home games. We have talked quite a bit about the informed speculation around, Texas Tech that the Red Raiders would not play either Oklahoma program next year. And I think that there were similar kind of whispers around other Big 12 programs, kind of like how when the NFL schedule is revealed, you kind of get a drip by drip, like, okay, well, the Chiefs will open up, against the Rams or something, But I think now that they're having to face the possibility of Texas and Oklahoma leaving after next season, and you only dealing with a 1-year kind of interim period with 14 teams, I think they're having to kind of go back to the drawing board. Because, for example, if you're Texas Tech, hypothetically, if you were in Austin next year, based on the schedule that they had put together, you were okay with that. It was no problem because you've expected a return trip to Lubbock in 2024, right? But now that seems unlikely or may not happen, they might leave early, Texas and Oklahoma. I think Tech probably says, well, no, we want Texas back in Lubbock next year if possible.
Tear that thing up.
And think about it, man. Like, when that schedule comes out, because Texas can't have, more than 5 road games in conference play. Right? We can laugh about, 9 conference games on the road.
Yeah, sure.
But that's not going to happen.
No.
And so you think about it, man, the programs that host Texas next year and to a lesser extent Oklahoma, I mean, that's going to be some serious – I mean, you would think, some serious
hot ticket
favors were called in or some leverage was played or given up. Who knows? But that's you said it, hot ticket.
Yeah, and it's where you want the there's just no scenario in which those dudes should be getting 5 home games in a 9-game season. You're either going to have 5 or 4 or 4 or 5, right? Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm going with this. And
if they only have 4 road games, it's malpractice.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going with that. No, you guys are leaving. You're going to get the short end of the stick by 1 game on the way out the door, and then with some careful selection about the teams that are getting to host those 2 teams, because I think and Texas is a draw everywhere. They're both a draw everywhere in this conference, but you could see where the Big 8 schools would be like, hey, we really want OU, Kansas,
sure.
K-State, Iowa State. There. Yeah, and I'm thinking about the original, and I'm using the word Big 8 for a reason, 2 words, but, those schools that have history are going, hey, we want them here, and whereas, the original Big 12s down here on our side, us and Baylor are going, yeah, we'll take them back. Of course, where did Texas play Baylor late? Was that in Austin? Can't remember. Did they go back to Waco? Where was that? I think it was in Baylor. I mean, I think it was in Austin, wasn't it? Texas Baylor.
I think it was in Austin.
Yeah. So that may be an easier flip than that may be the ultimate deal if they go, hey, you're going back to Lubbock next year.
And you wonder too, like, how do they handle the 4 incoming programs? Because I don't know that it's important for UCF to play Texas before they leave, or Cincinnati or BYU to play Texas. I think Houston needs to play Texas, right? I think they want to play Texas.
Yeah, no, maybe they can go to Austin.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, because now if you're a Houston fan, you've kind of you're now expecting to host Texas because that was in the original, we assume, schedule for this coming year. But if you get that taken away, that will be interesting. We get this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Surely you all don't believe newspapers. Yes, I do.
Come on. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I'm not.
Come on.
We can joke and
talking about a beat writer that's been covering a team for 25 years. Yeah. I'm believing him. Yeah,
right.
Let's go.
And you're talking about Joseph Duarte, or in town it would be Don Williams, who I believe is celebrating a birthday today.
He is. He's on my list. And it's a unusually long Tech birthday list, not just Ariana Grande or whatever. Well, not her birthday. Just popped into my head, but Tech birthdays. Right. It's a healthy list. There's like a half a dozen. So we're going to need to carve out an entire segment.
We'll make some time for that for sure. It's funny too. If you I don't know how this would work, but like potentially if you're saying, hey, Texas, you have 5 true road games, right? Mm-hmm. Then potentially they might only have 3 Big 12 home games, because one of those games would also, I would sure assume, be the Red River rivalry.
Good point.
And so if that's their designated home,
I wonder how they've done that in the past. Is it sort of a 4-4?
Well,
but like you said, they're home one year and away the other, but they're in Dallas every year, so who cares? They switch sidelines.
More Tech Talk next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, it's the Juice on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Gus and Clint. I'm Aaron. Time for some headlines brought to you by our good friends, Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. Carlos Correa, in a stunning turn of events, hit the Uno reverse and has agreed on a 12-year, $315 million contract with the New York Mets. Of course, he had previously agreed to a deal with the San Francisco Giants, but that deal fell apart on Tuesday over what Correa's agent, Scott Boras, said was a, quote, difference of opinion concerning Correa's physical. Don't see that every day, guys.
No, you really don't. That's and it didn't take long. One phone call, chopped 1 year off the deal, of course, but signed, sealed, and delivered. And now I guess if you're a Giants fan, you're in a weird way hoping that he misses a lot of games over the next 12 years, so you can go, see, we were right.
And of course, Correa shops at Dior. We know this.
He's told us that.
But 12 years, $315 versus 13 years, $350. Really,
how does he feed his family?
Well, it's just surely he's not miffed about it.
No, yeah,
like
that last $30 million. I was gonna buy a. I don't know. Yeah.
JT Daniels has committed to transfer to Rice. Former National High School Player of the Year. He will be on his 4th college home. He's played at USC, Georgia, and West Virginia. He's 17-12 as a starting quarterback. And how about this? If he does transfer to Rice as he has promised, and if he does win the starting job, which, it's Rice, I would sure think that he wins the starting job, he will play against Texas in Austin this season, making this the 3rd time in his career that he will have played against Texas in Austin.
Good.
How about that?
Yeah, that's hard to do. That is some portal and COVID era fun there. Just
100%.
Yeah.
You too can join the program. We would love to hear from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doublet973.com.
A little weather note here. Jeff Piotrowski, don't know who that is. Emmy award-winning storm chaser guy, weather guy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne, Wyoming went from 40. This is a good little indication of what we're dealing with tomorrow. Okay. Cheyenne, Wyoming went from 43 to 11 in 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
9 minutes, and is now below zero. Yeah. And he's got a little graph here from the Cheyenne Airport. So that'll give us a sense of what we're dealing with tomorrow.
I would kind of want to experience that.
Well, if you're going to go outside
but you know what I mean, right?
No, I'm with you. And
in 9 minutes.
I would want to experience that in a fun way, like, holy crap, not a, oh my God, I'm going to die because it was 43 and now
I would want to be close to my front door.
Yeah, exactly. That's like lose a bet and go stand outside. All right, you get to come back in when it's 0 in 9 minutes.
But not a second before.
Dang. 9 minutes. If you said an hour and a half, I'd go, ooh, man, that's pretty rough.
9 minutes.
That's
like a science fiction movie.
That is a wall of temperature right there, and it's headed our way. But Cheyenne, Wyoming will be there. Not we.
That's true.
But the Red Raiders will be there because it all comes back to Texas Tech.
This and the Yates Flooring Center chat line. AD, no takers in the portal. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know if that question's asking if Tech has any new developments, and I don't think we do.
This in the chat line. My daughter lives in Cheyenne. It's supposed to be minus 24 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and we'll have tomorrow afternoon. In fact, when we're rolling in here on the show, because that's the key. Like this thing's, single digits, high 20 or whatever, but we're talking like spring winds. Like howling 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. That's the game changer here.
The winter wind is a raider.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, winter wind is a raider. Blustering in from Canada.
Today, of course, is the beginning of the early signing period. This is now kind of the new main day for recruiting. Tech has signed the bulk of its class. I believe everyone that it planned on signing today, it did. You really have been kind of immune. Well, you haven't taken very many hits in terms of decommitments or flips. Baylor's having a very bad day. Their quarterback commitment that had been with them for months, he flipped to Oregon at the very last second.
He ducked them.
He did, yeah, big time. And that's bad news for Baylor. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't take a high school quarterback, I don't believe, last year. So this is now going to be two recruiting cycles. And listen, Tech fans know what this is like because you did this exact same thing, ironically enough, because of Baylor.
I was going to say, this is some drama here, yeah.
Jarrett Stidham was your longtime quarterback commitment in the 2015 class. And he flipped in December. Now, this was before the early signing period, but still, it was
too late to save the class.
Maybe it was the first year. Either way, it was too late to save because at that point, all the quarterbacks worth the darn had already been kind of spoken for. And so, Baylor, now granted, Tech did not have the portal to kind of maybe soften the blow. But even then, if you sign a portal player, a quarterback, odds are they're in the portal because they want to play. And you have Blake Shapen, who I assume is going to, still intends to be your starting quarterback. So even if they address that need through the portal, it will potentially create some conflict with who they have right now. But that quarterback room is a mess as a result.
Well, and we're talking about Oregon. I saw that our 2024, Tech's 2024 quarterback commit out of Hutto, very publicly, I guess, politely declined. He's been committed to Tech for a while, and this would be a kid that, is a sophomore right now. Been committed to Tech for a while. Oregon offered him. He politely declined them on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And then I believe Penn State and Auburn have offered him.
Yeah, William Hammond is his name. He is going to be a coveted, already is clearly coveted quarterback prospect in that 2024 class. And so, these won't be the last offers he gets. Sure. And you'll have to kind of stay on top of that, I would sure think.
Yeah, and I really brought that up just to say that I don't know what his stars are. I think he's a 3 or whatever, but 4 maybe. But everybody wants him.
Yeah, not every prospect, peek behind the curtain, not every prospect in that class is ranked yet. And so he was unranked when he committed to Tech. He was given a 3-star ranking, but in the next 2024 update, at least for rivals, I would guess that'll go up. More Tech Talk next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hello there, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Gus and Clint. I'm Aaron. We're joining you today until 6. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the H Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com. This on the chat line from T-Money 806. Baylor tears for their quarterback is just Stidham payback karma. This on the chat line. Don't worry about Baylor. Tyler will transfer their LOL. This from Uncle Steven. Happy first day of winter. Here's some advice. Change your HVAC filters. Raiders dad says, after Stidham, it can't happen enough to Baylor. El Jefe says, be excited for Avatar 2 AD. It's excellent. I will go see that at some point. I don't know. Maybe next week sometime. So there you go. I'm curious. There was a Dennis Dodd's article a few days ago that added a little bit of color to the conversation about the Big 12 and the decision to delay releasing the schedule for next year and the talks surrounding Oklahoma and Texas leaving early, in that this is going to involve some give and take, right? On the parts of Texas and Oklahoma, on the parts of the current remaining 8 Big 12 members, and probably most importantly of all, ESPN and Fox, because they control the rights for the Big 12. And Dodds reported that one of the options on the table, something being considered, is to kind of maybe lessen the buyout, right, the termination fee. One of the options being considered would be to guarantee some non-conference games in Big 12 locations with Texas and Oklahoma. And I'm curious, Gus, if you think that's enough. Like, would you be okay with that?
You know why I would say no to that? And of course, I don't know exactly who's promised this or how much of a promise it was, but there's been 2 rounds of media regarding that and discussion. But the fact is, it felt like at the state government level, there was going to be pressure to have Texas. And we can't get you a zillion trillion dollars of puff money, but we'll make sure Texas and Texas Tech play football together. So we don't need. I for one don't really think that's going to happen. Not in a form of like home and aways for the next 20 years. I don't believe it. But if I'm at the bargaining table and these are the facts as we are throwing them out here in this hypothetical, say no, we're okay on that. We don't want that because we've already got that because we're special. We've got that through the governor's office or through the reporting. I think we've had a couple rounds of media. There was some really good newspaper coverage and a lot of conversation about it this summer, and then going back farther back when a lot of discussion, a lot of state politics discussion about the Puff Fund came up. So, no thanks. We're good on that department. We've got our assurances from Texas. I think that's me eye rolling it, but that's the card. Those are the hand I'm playing. That's hand I'm playing.
I'm with you in being skeptical about the likelihood of any kind of long-term arrangement with Texas to play each other in football.
Besides that, we're full.
We're not part of it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to just hamstring yourself by taking away your FCS game, and replacing with Texas, sure. and I just don't think you're at a point program wise where that helps you more than hurt you. But back to the original kind of topic, the only way that I would be maybe okay with this, because, I mean, West Virginia certainly isn't. I mean, I think the Mountaineers would much rather have the money than they don't care about playing Texas as much. I mean, like, that's just not, they don't have that history. There's not that pull with Texas. And then the same goes for the incoming members. And heck, even Iowa State. Like, what do they really, their main rival's Iowa.
Sure.
You know, Oklahoma State is not much, or Oklahoma rather, is not much of a rivalry. Really, this means more, the most perhaps, to Tech, Oklahoma State, maybe Kansas with Missouri, and maybe Baylor and TCU, whatever. I think the only way that I would be okay with kind of dangling non-conference games as a reason to kind of lessen the termination fee or eliminate it altogether would be if the Big 12 and the SEC agreed to some sort of scheduling challenge conference-wide that they would then sell to a media partner, presumably ESPN in this case.
Yeah.
Because that way you would get Tech Texas from time to time. You would get Tech A&M from time to time. You'd get the border war back. You'd get Bedlam back. And you'd also get to play other SEC programs as part of this as well. I don't think that's likely at all.
And that'd have to be done really throughout the length of the media deals, right? Because ESPN couldn't commit to anything beyond 6 years, right?
Yeah, I haven't really kind of workshopped this out.
And that would be 6 years from when it starts in another couple of years, right? And again, have we signed anything on that?
No, well, yeah, we haven't seen any kind of official release in the Big 12 deal, and there will be so many moving parts required because so many of these programs have, non-conference dates locked up into the mid-30s.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder if there would be any consideration to saying, hey, everybody, don't schedule anything after 2035 for a minute. Don't get anything else on the books or 36, because 2036 is the year that it's all going to hit the fan.
All goes to hell. This on the Yates Flooring,
or maybe not hell. I don't know.
Center chat line. This person says, AD, for another opinion. This is from Raiders Dad. I went to see the new Avatar and walked out after about an hour. What a crappy movie in time sync. This person says, Baylor QB1 Alan Bowman. Interesting. Right. I don't know that. See, again, Baylor's in a tricky spot because they have a returning incumbent starter who didn't light up everybody this year, but still an incumbent returning starter who, started a Big 12 championship game for him and won. So how do you kind of maneuver your way through that process? That will be interesting to follow.
Because you're really trying to create some succession there, not so much an immediate competition right now. You wouldn't turn that down, I guess. But, if you bring in an old guy and both guys graduate next year, it doesn't help
and it really ramps up the pressure for Baylor to land a really good quarterback in 2024. More Tech Talk. We'll do some birthdays next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
So when y'all are in group environments where the happy birthday song is sung, do you just try to kind of like blend in or just kind of like happy birthday, just kind of go through the motions, or do you really try to stand out and go for the gusto?
Well, I just kind of wait.
This is my time to shine.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not blowing it out,
people.
But I'm not lip syncing it either. I'm just part of the group.
Dickens is the type that starts harmonizing.
Yeah. What's the? I wish I knew the name of the tool. What's the instrument where you kind
of?
Like a pitch pipe?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Exactly. All right, happy birthday in the key of D.
Pipe.
Like a barbershop quartet. I have a little straw hat on.
Aaron goes, whoa, no, let's start over again. Not my tempo.
My TikTok wasn't recording.
Somebody fire up the metronome. We need to get this right.
Suzanne, if you can't get it right, you can get out.
So in August, Bonus Kid had his first like band showcase thing.
Extravaganza.
Yeah. And they went through all the different instrument groups and beginning band, yada, yada, yada. And one of the instruments, I don't recall which one, they busted out the metronome. I about fell asleep.
Like you need one in the house.
Like that thing has some kind of magical power. It was like in Cheyenne where it went from 43 to 9 in like 9 minutes.
Yes. You just want to experience more of that.
I have an old school metronome if you ever having trouble going to sleep.
Okay.
To borrow it.
Cool.
Or I can just sit here in your ear and just go.
Yeah,
I just order that thing on Amazon, right? It can't be that expensive.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Don't know how much Mrs. D would care for the metronome in the bedroom. It's $26. All right. Hey, you have some
Stay on rhythm.
Red Raider birthdays?
Yes, I do. Where to begin? I'll tell you what. I'll begin with the current head coach, Tim Tadlock.
How about that?
Enjoying a birthday today.
Texas Tech legend.
And I think born on the same day. Was Anthony Lynn. Same day, same year.
How about that?
Yeah,
also, I would say a Tech legend.
Yep. Name you'll know well. A couple of
Why? I've
names
known the first two.
Well, no, it's true, but these are like in your wheelhouse. Robert and I.
Okay, yeah. Former Texas Tech offensive line coach.
Yep. OC.
I think it was like co-OC.
Yeah, kind of that the Leach era OC where you go, okay, sure, you're the offensive coordinator. You don't call any plays, but you're the guy.
You're
the guy we
business
look
card's
to.
a bit fancier.
Yeah, you're the guy. And Baron Batch.
How about that?
Yeah.
Part of your top 25 recruiting class in 2006.
Look at you giving some context,
Yeah.
because that's what we're looking at today, by the way.
Right.
ESPN just rolled that. I think Tech at number 22.
And he had some kind of injury / like staph infection kind of deal that kept him off the field early on. He didn't really hit his stride until 08. But he was the type of prospect that I think people thought, okay, well, he'll play pretty quick. And he probably would have in 07 had he not been kind of working his way back from that injury, because you were pretty thin at running back that
on
season.
Torian Henderson had moved on by then, and so it was.
I mean, really, 06, it was.
And there was Shannon Woods.
It was just Shannon Woods. I mean, I don't even know. This doesn't go back that far.
Johnny Mack was gone by then, probably, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. I think Mack was his last season.
Oh really? Okay. I was thinking he was 05. But you would know that better than I would.
05, it was your top two rushers were Henderson, and then Shannon Woods as a freshman. In 06, your second leading rusher was Baron Batch had 9 carries rather. You know who your third leading rusher in terms of yardage was?
07. Initials, please.
06.
06. All right. And it's not the quarterback?
No.
Okay.
Joel
Initials, please.
Filani.
What?
Yeah.
Did we run some jet sweeps?
Because I mean, this is how
had to be jet sweeps.
This
right?
has to be one of the more lopsided like rushing attempts for a team over the course of a season. Shannon Woods had 152. Okay, he almost ran for 1,000 yards. Right, he had 930. Your next leading rusher, not counting Graham, with the sacks and stuff, 33. But the next guy in terms of carries was Baron Batch with 9.
Just about. I would ship that if you said that's the most disparity among rushers, because going way back in the day of the Veer and all that stuff, you'd have 2 and 3 running backs in there, and it was a running game, and so that there's nothing from history that's going to have that sort of a disparity.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, it really is. That's because because
like the year before, right? I mean, you had Torian Henderson, who I like Shannon Woods. I thought he was a good player for you, but he wasn't Torian.
Right.
Henderson had 148 carries. Woods had 24. Torrance Rawls had 10.
And those are season totals, 148? Not conference games. That's season.
Yeah, this is peak air raid, baby.
God dang. It's crazy. All right. Anyway, okay, 2 more birthdays. Speaking of running backs, Bam Morris's blocking back was a guy named Bruce Hill. Saw Bruce at the Spike reunion. Bruce, a good player around here. Bruce was one of those guys that probably came in going, hey, I'm going to be the running back. And they looked over there, and Bam was bigger than he was and everything else, but he was kind of a gutsy, smaller blocking back and did a lot out of the eye and the, whatever they'd call that. But Bruce, good dude. And then one of Bam's, and you know what? I was thinking about this. All-name team, Texas Tech. If you were thinking Texas Tech football, just cool names. I'm putting this
Bristol
on.
Olamua.
Yeah. And Bingo Mancias.
Oh, that's good.
Bingo is a lineman from Alice.
Mm-hmm.
And again, about the Van Morris early 90s time in there. Stacy Patrick and Elam and Fitzgerald and those guys, Scott Ayler. Yeah, that's a good one. So, yeah, we could have a little fun with an all-name team. Not talking about them as players, just what you're saying. Just cool
just
names.
The names.
Yeah, just cool names. And then finally, our man Don Williams.
How about that?
Enjoying a birthday today. Texted him earlier today. So here we go. That's seven noteworthy birthdays right there.
This, it's you kind of feel for Don because it's like, no one likes to work on their birthday, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a sports writer for the longest time, December 21st seems
right.
pretty safe. It's like,
even if you're going bowling, it's still a week
there
out.
Might be a basketball game, a college basketball game on that you got to cover, but that's going to be probably rare. Maybe a bowl game, depending on kind of how the season goes. But now you've got the landmine that is signing day that's kind of lurking around.
Because somebody was over there at the arena at Hoops. Somebody was up there at the football facility when Coach McGuire had his media availability, and you're right.
And see, this is precisely why you did not want, for example, to be Baylor, right, and play in the Armed Forces Bowl because that game's tomorrow, right, and so the bulk of their team is in Waco or is in Fort Worth already. Now, granted, Fort Worth to Waco is not that long of a trip, but if you're a coach and you're kind of in this war room type deal and the kind of lead up to signing day, you're kind of having to split your time.
Yeah, and you've got a quarterback jumping on you, and you're in there
game
watching film and doing some game prep and in a meeting, and all of a sudden you get a text and you're like, "Hey fellas, hang on a minute."
You've been listening to the Tech Talk podcast from Double T 97.3. Check out Double T973.com for more from Lubbock Sports Station.